So, welcome everyone. I'm Alexander Mihalcha, and today we have one of the industry leaders, Simon Gilchrist, Managing Director of BSME Limited. Welcome, Simon. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much, Alex.
Awesome, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, and I'm sure you're going to be of great value for the audience. Now, before we dive in, could you give us a quick overview of what BCMY Limited does?
Yeah, sure. Well, it started off as just collecting empty printer cartridges in order to be able to sell empty printer cartridges to make a margin. Buy them cheap, sell them a bit more, make a bit of profit in between. But since then, we've gone through a number of changes. But we've recycled mobile phones in the past, but we don't do that now. But we're totally integrated into the whole life cycle of a printer cartridge. So we're vertically integrated. We sell full printer cartridges. We collect the empties back up. We sell the empties to remanufacturers. We also remanufacture some empties ourselves into fully reusable remanufactured cartridges. We also deal with the waste element of printer cartridges. So if it doesn't have a commercial value or cannot be reused anymore for any reason, then we take that back into its raw material form and we make new products out of that raw material, specifically the plastic, into plastic composite posts and profiles, and take the metal off to metal recyclers for the aluminium and steel. So literally everything that you can think of with regards to a printer cartridge, we're involved with somehow now.
Yeah, okay, that's really fascinating. And basically, what inspired you like to create BSME Way Limited? And when you saw that opportunity, what gap in the system did you realize no one else was solving?
Um, well, I wasn't a very good employee when I left university. There were many sort of dead end jobs that I did. I had to get up early in the morning. I wasn't a fan of that. I'm a bit more of a night owl. So yeah, I bounced around a few jobs, got fired from a few jobs, and then one of my friends contacted me with a 6 month work contract working for the company that he worked for, which was a printer cartridge manufacturer. Did the six months, and the role was to collect their raw material cheaper, basically, than they currently were. They were buying empty printer cartridges from brokers, and they wanted a cheaper and more a solid way of doing that in moving into the future. So I set up a collection program with the PTA Association for schools. I approached the association. They would rubber stamped a letter to kind of go and co-brand it to go out to fair few thousand schools. The business model was very simple. Send out a letter, have a phone line, and provide some printed cardboard boxes to place items in. Then go around, collect up those cardboard boxes once they were full. End of 6 months came, contract ran out. Not many boxes had come back by that stage, so parted ways with this company again. So again without a job, but a couple of years later bumped into the same friend, and needless to say I was out of a job at the time, or doing a dead-end job at that time, and he said how well the program actually went. It saved a
Yeah.
couple of £100,000 in raw material costs, and made a couple of £100,000 for schools and PTA associations. So I thought, wow, that's quite a lot of money, considering it's just cardboard boxes and a mobile phone and a couple of letters being sent out. So I thought, maybe I can do this myself from my bedroom. So I did. It took me a while to realise the market, though. I was trying to attract the attention of, the big Cancer Research UKs and the Tesco's and the Sainsbury's of this world. But yeah, strangely enough, that I didn't want to work with a bedroom business and a 21-year-old lad that was trying to get his foot in the door. So yeah, I found out that the market that was kind of open to me was small, medium-sized charities that didn't have any collection program for such items that would raise them funds.
Right.
They were very interested in it, and yeah, I went at that size of the market and side of the market, and yeah, found interest and traction, and slowly grew from there.
Okay, interesting. And for example, if you are looking back, like what would you wish you've done differently in those early days?
Should I have done different in the early days? I could have borrowed a bit to invest in my plans. It would have been very risky without, a clear defined way of being able to, pay it back without understanding whether the business model worked. However, the growth in the business probably over those first 3 or 4 years was very slow, because it was just myself and
Yeah.
my efforts and very much zero money. Had I borrowed, that 4 years could have possibly been, maybe 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. So it would have scaled me up a lot quicker. Now, if you think, the last 2 or 3 years of the business, the amount of, you know, benefit that's giving me, and the profit that it's making, I could have been having that for, two more years, had I started the business in a faster way. So yeah, maybe that. Also, maybe a partner, maybe not doing it on my own. I mean, it's quite a lonely place running a business on your own. No one to bounce ideas off, no one to share the joy of
Yeah.
success with, not on the same level. I mean, there's obviously people to share joy with, but comes with its own risks, though. You got to get on, and you're going to have to get on for a long time if you're starting a business together.
100%.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you mentioned like earlier, like getting fired a couple of times before starting your own business. But for example, how did those experiences influence the kind of leader you've become today?
Okay. So I realized quite quick what I'm not very good at. So I'm not very good at getting up in the mornings. I'm not very good at conflict. Certain things around marketing that it's not my bag. Also accountancy side. So I made sure when I did actually hire people, that the first person I hired, had to meet all of those areas that I wasn't very good at, because we would step on each other's toes if they were good at the things that I was good at, and stuff. So every time I've hired in an important position, I've always hired a completely different skill set to me, so that basically so that my weaknesses basically are mitigated.
Okay, okay, I see. Circling back like to your business, you've grown like BSMEY Limited without outside investors. And what has the independence allowed you to do differently compared to venture-backed startups?
What's it allowed me to do differently compared to venture-backed startups? Okay, it's allowed me to follow projects that I wanted to do, rather than chasing either margin or volume. It's allowed me to focus on sort of efficiency and solutions without having to create a business plan or a roadmap in each instance and convince others and take others with me. I also don't like being told no. So having someone behind you that you're answerable to, that's saying no, we don't like this, we don't want you going in that direction. That would have always been a problem for me, running my business. So the fact that that's not there, yeah, sure, I probably lack the support of the funding in the early years, for sure. That's not great. It would have been great to have a lot more funding, but it was definitely beneficial not having a backseat driver, and being allowed to go my own direction, fail fast if needed. being able to explore and play with the business without sort of oversight, judgment, or having to convince others is why we've kind of ended up becoming vertically integrated business in so many different sort of areas of this printer cartridge market. Solving our own problems has created, differentiators between us and competitors, and created new products and services out of that I don't think ever would have been possible had I had to try and convince financial backers that it was not a very profitable way to go, but would be an interesting way to go,
Yeah.
with the possibility of finding money further down the line for that venture. So, yeah, I think it's being able to do it your own way is quite key to being, the difference between being backed by venture capital and not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Interesting perspective here. But for example, like you've seen what's working and what's not in this industry. But in your opinion, what's one growth challenge you think the industry itself still hasn't solved well?
Growth challenge. Okay, so there's a big disconnect between understanding value on printer cartridges. Like, for example, we take empty cartridges at the for this question. You've got like maybe 5,000 different printer cartridges out there, maybe even more, maybe even 15,000 if you start adding historical old printer cartridges. Now, which ones of those are of value? Now, that's quite key to understand because we obviously only want the ones with value. The ones that don't have value obviously come with a cost to dispose of. So anyone in our market space would want just 100% resaleable cartridges coming in. That'd be great. But in order to do that, you then have to educate the service user like yourself. Like, how would you know which of those 15,000 cartridges are of value and how much value they each hold? They all have different part numbers. Printer cartridges sometimes have a part number, an EAN number, a visual identity code. They also have the printer number that it goes into, which number. There's a big sort of gap in that, my knowledge and your knowledge as a service user. Closing that gap, or taking that problem away from you as a user of a service would be a big leap forward in the ability to have more cartridges reused effectively instead of going in the bin. Actually, having a better life cycle, a higher value, and reuse is always better than recycling, and it's always better than disposal or recovery.
Okay. And for example, walking us through how like BCMY Limited addresses these challenges, what makes your approach unique?
Well, we try and solve our internal kind of issues or frustrations to basically make the business more efficient. I've always had a desire to have things efficiently. I kind of I pack the dishwasher kind of efficiently. It's like I don't like to be early for anything. I'd rather sort of be 1 minute late than kind of 10 minutes early. It feels like it's just wasting time sitting around. So there's something internally that's built in to be super efficient, even to the point of it financially it's not worth being super efficient. It's probably just financially worth being efficient. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But that kind of internal kind of push to go, yeah, this can be better, has created processes, technologies, and services that others wouldn't create, because it sometimes it's not
Right.
necessarily efficient to go down that path in the first place. But because we've created proprietary technology that allows us to do things really, really efficiently, and because of that, that's given us a differentiator and an MO in our current business landscape, as being a technology based company, rather than your rag and bone waste recyclers. We're actually a technology company plying our trade in the waste and reuse sector.
Okay, I see. But for example, like you describe the BSMY Limited as an IT company that piles its trade in recycling. So could you explain how technology like became central to your operations?
Yeah. Okay. So, right at the start, there was no technology, so we would send out printer cartridge recycling envelopes, and I had to differentiate between each charity that I was sending them to. So we would use a supermarket pricing gun, like to price up products. We were using that as a differentiator on the front of each envelope. Took a long time, sent it out. They would then come back, in their tens, then hundreds, then started to come back in thousands. But they were all mixed when they came back. We had to then sort all of these bags into which pile for which charity, and then open them individually, and then record what was coming out of them. Could have been any one of these 15,000 items. We would then record them on a spreadsheet, one spreadsheet for one charity. So as you can imagine, the processing of those cartridges on the way back was open a
Right.
spreadsheet, record the cartridge. It was a very laborious and long-winded process. So we implemented databases, and that started us on this digital path. I still can't code. I know what's possible. But yeah, I don't make any of the technology, but because of being able to understand where I need to get to and what the real world sort of problems are, I can see how something can be made more efficient. Then we've used external companies, but also internal staff to develop systems that went through databases, then barcoding. Then barcoding wasn't good enough because you'd have many people standing around the same table with lots of barcodes out, trying to scan the same barcodes. It just wasn't scalable. So we moved to touchscreen technology. We could have 10 touchscreens, which effectively, ended up being, a fast way to scale for us. But the person still needed knowledge of the cartridges they were looking at, and then how to find on the touch screen the product that they were holding in their hand to be able to record the fact that they've received it. Shortly after that, COVID hit, and we had to scale up quite a lot. We had a lot of business during COVID. Naturally so, people work from home, schools closed, people need to print off homework, and therein lies, a big spike in printer cartridge need and use and return. So because of that, we had a lot of people enter the business that didn't know printer cartridges and had to try and work with our systems, and we needed them up to speed quickly. Yeah, I started developing AI, computer vision, to be able to literally just take a picture of a printer cartridge, and the computer to know exactly what printer cartridge it is, who it's come from, the value of it, the rebate amount, how much we paid. Yeah, it's been integral to the growth of the business and to differentiating us between us and every other competitor on our landscape. Currently working on an app that can be embedded into other people's apps, but effectively the technology behind it would be you at home would be able to literally just take a picture of your printer cartridge, and it would tell you, whether you have a cartridge of value, what value it is, and whether to send it back, how to send it back, or how to treat it as waste. So that's that knowledge gap being removed.
Okay, see. But because like you talk about the internal innovation that you had, like we've built that AI property and computer vision system. How do you see AI and automation reshaping the recycling and waste management over the next decade?
Um, well, we're currently looking at personally spinning our IT business out of the current company, just because it makes sense to. But we actually see quite a large gap for small to medium sized businesses that have a want and a need for more efficient processes. So whether that's computer vision or AI or robotics, but the cost of developing those is just crazy expensive.
Yeah.
To get an AI programmer, you're competing with, Facebook, Meta, Google. It's not a cheap process to be able to solve an internal kind of problem and make it more efficient. So I think there's definitely a scope in being able to sell, or develop, and then sell to small and medium-sized businesses enterprise software that is based around efficiency. Whether that's relevant for waste and recycling businesses, yeah, sure. Whether it's relevant for other wholesaling businesses or warehousing businesses or retail, yeah, of course, also. But yeah, I think AI and computer vision overall is going to have a dramatic shape on lots of market spaces.
100%. Yeah. And for example, if you could like give one piece of advice to young entrepreneurs starting with little money but being ambition, what would be?
Definitely surround yourself with good people, trustworthy, good people. The things that you're less able to do or feel less confident in, people with those skills are will be gold dust to you. So yeah, surround yourself with good people. Dream big, but also don't give up. Like it can take a long time to become successful. But if you stick at it and you're passionate about it, then success will definitely come.
Okay. This is a great advice. And like it sounds you had a curve, like in many ways, which make me curious about your growth plans. So how are you looking to grow for the next year?
So we have many different business models running at the same time. We sell printer cartridges, full ones. We collect empty ones that we then sell. But for us, the growth is in or our next year is the composite plastic posts that we make out of the waste material. This this is an area that hasn't yet come to market, but we are producing the posts already. So this is going to be our focus for next year, and also spinning out the IT side of the business with proprietary software and trying to understand, what markets that our software would be useful in. Really, I mean, it might not even be the waste recycling market, but so yeah, moving forward with spinning out the IT side of things and launching our composite post products into the market would be the two big things for next year.
Okay, this sounds amazing, like amazing horizon. But I have a curiosity by that. So, what drives you now after like achieving financial success to keep solving problems and staying so involved in the business?
Okay. So I've started to find more things of interest outside of the business now. So I'm probably more more interested in home life and other things that aren't necessarily as interesting to your listeners from a business perspective. But uh, efficiency is always going to be there for me. So as I said, we're building a premises, new building next to this one on some spare land that we had. It's something to do. There was a bit of grass. It wasn't doing anything. That's not efficient. So obviously we put up a building there. Whilst I still have problems in the business, or opportunities in the business that I can kind of attack, then I'll still have motivation for it. But yeah, a lot of the problems in my own business have now sort of been solved. So yeah, I think I'm starting to look at other businesses, their problems, whether that's angel investing, whether that's more takeover targets, whether it's maybe even joining the board of directors of other companies, just to kind of keep me interested in other people's problems rather than the problems of this business. So I think that's possibly a direction for me in the future.
Okay, I see. And before we wrap up, like for listeners who want to learn more or potentially work with BCMY Limited, what's the best way to get in touch?
Best way to get in touch. Visit any of our websites. So we have zerowasterecycling.co.uk. That's if you have a cartridge waste problem, and need someone to uplift the cartridges, then that service would be one for you. If you have printer cartridges of value, the small inkjet cartridges, then feel free to go on to recycleforcharity.co.uk, or if you need to buy a new cartridge, you can go to inktrader.com. So yeah, there's anything about printer cartridges. Uh, Pick up the phone to any of those services and give us contact.
Okay, okay, that's amazing. So, thanks for joining me today, Simon, and for this amazing podcast session. And for anyone listening, make sure to check out BSMY Limited socials below in the description because this episode was packed with value and I can't wait to see what you build next.